So hello and welcome to this Kuali Day session titled Elevating Digital Processes with Kuali Build. This session is about being able to focus on Kuali Build and understanding how it might impact or elevate impact for the Kuali community. So it's a no-code forms and workflow automation tool, and it's going to help different roles like the registrar or the provost, admissions, be able to create mobile-ready, automated, and secure forms and request those processes with no coding required. So we'll talk a little bit more about the use cases and who has the ability to actually utilize the software when Danny kicks off the presentation. Just to have a note, my name is Joni Schaefer, and I am going to be the moderator or host for this session. And we're glad that you're able to join us. I just want to mention that all attendees will be on mute throughout the presentation. We will open a little bit more for Q&A at the end, but feel free to type your questions into the chat feature as they come to you. So once you have a question, go ahead and type it in, and we will go ahead and address those questions as it makes sense throughout the presentation. And we'll get through as many of the questions that we have in the time that we have allotted. Just to note, the session will be recorded and a link to the recording will be available after the completion of the conference. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to our primary presenter, which is Danny O'Rourke. And she will kick things off with an overview with the slides, and then we'll shift gears to go out to a short live demo, which will be done by Joel Delin, who is the CEO at Kuali. Danny?
Hello, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Danny O'Rourke. I am joined today by Joel Delin, and we are going to, for this session, begin with an overview of Kuali Build and curriculum management, and then look at how you can elevate impact with Kuali. So to provide background, Kuali was born out of the collaborative efforts of higher education in 2004. Kuali disrupted the market by bringing something new and fresh to the world of ed tech. And because of this original vision, by 2014, we became a company building sustainable modular solutions built for and hosted in the cloud. Kuali's portfolio available today includes Kuali Student Curriculum and Catalog Management, Kuali Build, no-code apps, Kuali Research compliance and sponsored programs, Kuali Financials, and Kuali Ready business continuity planning. For today's audience, we trust you are familiar with curriculum and catalog, so we are going to shift our focus of this presentation to the second module listed, and that is Kuali Build. At Kuali, our focus with implementation for student, CM and catalog, and build is to be able to meet project objectives and reach desired outcomes by applying the appropriate experience, which is a collaborative partnership approach between Kuali and the institutions we serve. So let's start with a high-level background of Kuali Build. Kuali Build is a no-code form and workflow solution built exclusively for higher education with higher education. We developed Kuali Build because of the need the higher ed community has to enable student success and empower the campus and their teams, though the biggest obstacle to that is dated systems and manual processes. Manual processes. Oh, I missed a slide there. There we go. There we go. So to solve this problem, we focused on the sweet spot. We found that solutions that existed on campuses fell into complex systems and simple systems. They were either complex enough to meet institutional needs, but they were lacking in user experience and ease, or they were user-friendly and easy to use, but lacked deeper functionality to truly meet institutional governance needs. To dive further into this, on one side of the coin, there are the powerful, complex business solutions. Think ERPs, ECMs, your student information system. These meet business requirements from an IT standpoint, but they require an engineer to build processes and they're expensive to purchase and maintain. On the other side, since those bigger systems are not accessible to business users, shadow systems pop up on campus. Think Google Forms. They are easy and simple to use, and they're inexpensive, but they don't meet all of the security and scalability and business requirements from IT. So there's this sweet spot in the middle, a system that is easy to use, built on core design principles that empowers business users to do some pretty powerful things that a system IT will actually sign off on. It's reasonably expensive and it has a reasonable expense and doesn't require an engineer to use. So let's give you a quick preview of what this looks like. Kuali Build stands out in key ways because it is easy and fun to build. We have a consistent design focus on design. We keep simplicity and non-tech speak and award-winning design top of mind always. Powerful integrations. Many customers use Build for system orchestration or connecting multiple LOB applications together and updating them when complex activities take place. Rather than needing a developer to do this, once integrations are set up with our easy to use API gadgets, business users can call on those integrations in all of their business processes. Hierarchy support too. We know how complicated institutional hierarchy charts can be since we were born out of higher education. We've focused extensive efforts on ensuring Kuali Build integrates all forms and workflows into institution identity management, enabling the consistent knowledge of and routing to the right person in the role at that department who always seems to change every other month. We also have pricing that is built for higher education. We focus on a pricing model with challenges specific to higher education, knowing that that is really what the core of it is. Our unlimited model empowers a department or campus to add in as many users, use as many forms, and accept as many submissions as possible, providing that opportunity to democratize access to the tool. There's no hidden fees and there are no unpredictable charges included. So to talk quickly and briefly about the licensing options, Kuali Build is offered with different licensing options, including enterprise, department, and 10 applications. An enterprise license is unlimited apps, unlimited app creation. Anyone can create apps, forms, and workflow. Anyone can fill out and submit forms. A department license, unlimited apps can be created by anyone in a specific department or office. Anyone can fill out and submit forms. 10 apps, limited to 10 applications, can be created by anyone at the institution. Forms can be filled and submitted by anyone. All right, now let's consider Kuali Build in relation to Kuali curriculum management. So attendees that are sitting in on this session have been engaged with some of the student track at the conference and are familiar with curriculum management, and others are exploring curriculum management. So we have two kind of different audiences here, and we wanted to bridge a little bit between curriculum management and Build. Kuali curriculum management is purpose-built for your curriculum forms. Purpose-built content types include courses, programs, policies, experiences, specializations. Actions on those types of curricular content include propose to edit, add, delete a program, propose to edit, add, delete a course, etc., and all of the various ways that our partner institutions are leveraging the various content types. Enter Build. So the difference is that Build is for more of the general purpose, no code forms and workflow. So let's consider two examples. Let's say I'm a registrar. I'm using or thinking about using Kuali curriculum management, and I'm exploring Build. An example question that you might ask is, what about supplemental curricular forms that fall outside of those examples of CM content types? You can use Kuali Build. Another question you might ask, what about other forms that my department is responsible for but aren't necessarily supplemental curricular forms? You can use Kuali Build. Momentarily, we will shift gears to learn more about Build, but before we do, I wanted to call out some example applications of no-code forms and workflow that we built for some demo purposes to give you an idea of what some of these use cases relevant to the Provost, Registrars, and Admissions Office looks like. Some examples might include academic appeal, declaration of intent for a dual degree program, pass-fail, undergraduate overload request, pledge to go green, program change request, change of address, permission of instructor, service animal housing registration, admissions change in a new term, permit to audit a course, accessibility. The list is endless in terms of the types of forms that you can utilize inside Build and elevate that impact with Kuali. So to talk about a very specific example, we're going to focus today on the program change request. To build on the program change request example as a form used in your registrar's office, I'd like to give an outline of how this form comes into existence with Kuali Build. Side note, one thing to note, since we're using an example that would include student data, Kuali Build enables you to meet FERPA compliance. So a program change request. The first thing you would do is build a new application. An application is a container for form, workflow, documents, all of the things contained within an application, which we will talk about shortly. Next step, we will want to design a form so that the student can fill out the information requested. Taking your existing forms and transforming them with Build or creating a new form altogether. Next, you will create a workflow so that when the student submits the form, it will kick off the workflow process. For example, let's say the workflow begins with an approval from the department chair, of the requested department that correlates to the requested program, followed by the college dean of the requested department, an acknowledgement by the registrar, and finally a notification to the student on the decision for their program change request. All of that can be easily handled and all is contained inside that program change request. Again, in addition to that, of course, the forms are tailored to the branding of your institution for that look and feel. This is a high level walkthrough to show you what the main steps are of creating a new application, because I also want to make sure that you have that understanding going into the demo of what those steps kind of entail. So as we transition into the demo of Kuali Build, there are some features we want you to keep an eye out for. We've called 6 of them out here, but there are countless others. And this is a good time to remind everyone that Kuali Build, like CM and CAT, is on a continuous delivery release. So we release new features to build all the time. Keep an eye out for the form builder, which is complete control and flexibility on the design of your form. Previewing the output is made simple in the form builder to see how your documents will render. Workflow Builder. Build empowers governance role-based workflow with conditional routing logic, with drag and drop functionality and individual step configurations and denial routes. Reporting. Each app has its own searching, filtering, and reporting dashboard to expose the data captured within each form. Additionally, users can save filters and searches for quick return as needed. Identity. SSO permissions, users groups, tailored notifications based on role-based workflows. All of that is incorporated as well inside of Build. API integrations, seamlessly connecting and centralizing data from external systems on campus and Kuali products to elevate form submissions and reduce data inconsistencies. Security. Each application allows for tailored security and roles to ensure the right people are engaging with the data. At this point, I'm going to transition to Joel, who will lead a live demo of Build. And I'm going to stop my screen share and let Joel take over. Hey, Joel. Joel, you are still muted.
I am. Hi, everyone. This is Build. So what you're seeing here is a dashboard. Thank you, Danny. That was a great setup. This is a dashboard. This is what a form designer would see. So a form designer comes in and you limit the number of form designers in your institution. And these are the apps that they've created in the past. Each app has a form and a workflow associated with it. And then these are apps that have been shared with me that other people have created, so you can share apps with each other. So you can access the apps from here if you want to, to fill them out. Or once I get into an app, I can share the URL on a website. And these would be the little, these would be the thumbnails for each of the different applications so that you could put the link onto a website someplace. So let me go into a program change request. So this program change request, this is the designer for the form. So I've created this form automatically. I'll go back if we have time and create it from scratch. But the idea is that there are a bunch of gadgets on the left-hand side. And these gadgets are things like date pickers, number, text box, checkbox, multiple choice, state and province picker, email, currency, signature. We have the ability to have a digital signature, image upload, and things like this. If I want to put these onto the form, then I would just drag it. So let's say I wanted a date picker for some reason. I would just go here to date picker. I'm not seeing it. Oh, here you go, date picker. And I drag it over here, and notice as I move it around, it shows me the places that I might put it. And that's very helpful for drag and drop so that I can see where I might put it. I'm gonna just put it over here. And so now there it is. And I'd say choose a date. So I added that, and there's a lot of things that I can do. I can make this required. I can put some descriptive text. There are things that I can add to this field that I dropped down to make it valuable. So when I preview it, there's some branding here for your particular form. And then these are all the fields. Notice that they're mobile. So it's responsive. When I move it here, it rearranges it, and then I can move it back. So the fields themselves there are lots of variety in the fields that you can add to a form. So this field, for example, is a field that automatically pulls the name of the person that's logged in. So you don't have to create any code to do that. You just drag a particular field here and it will do that. Since I've added somebody that's logged in, there are different fields that now I could also add to the form. So I added this one that says advisor. it will automatically get the advisor of the person that's logged in. If I wanted to, I could automatically get the postal code of the person that's logged in right now. And I'm in the system as Nancy Jones, by the way. So it's really easy to create integrations and drag and drop those integrations onto the form so that the form designer doesn't have to write any code. They don't have to do any integration work themselves. They literally just drag and drop things onto the form. I'm going to remove that gadget. I pulled the email automatically from Nancy Jones. When she logged in, it came up. We also automatically pull the program. So in this case, there are opportunities for double majors. So we let her choose between which of her majors, if she was in more than one, which one of them she wants to change. So she wants to change from chemistry. And now this automatically hooks up to curriculum management. So when I start typing history, it narrows it down for me and allows me to select history. So now, just like other search areas in curriculum management, it will search the title, but it will also search the description. It gives some different weightings for the different ones. So I'm going to choose history. It knows automatically that history is in the history department. I can type in the reason for the change. I'm going to get rid of this date. And then the signature piece, you don't need this. We recommend that people don't need it. If they don't need a signature, don't use it if you don't need a signature, because you already know the name of the person and you already have the date and time that they signed it. But if you need a signature, you have the ability to type in your signature here, or you can draw your signature, or you can actually upload an image. Okay, so that's a little bit about form creation. Once you've created the form, you can actually create your workflow. So the workflow looks like this. You have approvals, you have notifications, you have acknowledgements, branches, and integrations. A notification is just where you're notifying something or a group that something has happened. So in this case, when somebody requests a program change, you have the ability to say, well, let's send an email to the submitter. So I've gone over here and I've said a person specified on the form. Which person specified on the form? The submitter. And then I can actually create a subject. I can create a subject that has a variable in it. So it says your requested change to variable requested program was received. So whatever their requested program is, it will insert that into the subject of the email. In the email body itself, you can do the same thing. Dear student name or submitter, your request to change to requested program was received. So the ability to edit those notifications is a really powerful part of the tool. The next is an approval step. So the approval step allows me to say, all right, I'm going to first have the advisor approve this. So the advisor is a person specified on the form. Remember that we pulled in the advisor automatically based on who was logged in. And then what happens if it gets denied? Nothing, we just reject it. And if they approve it, then it will move on to the next step. So here we see branching, and much of this you have the same capabilities in curriculum management. Most of this you have the same capabilities in curriculum management. Most of the workflow. So the default route, the department chair, so it will automatically determine who the department is based on the person that's logged in, and then it will automatically determine who the department chair is of that department, and it will send it to that person to route. Then it will route to the college dean. So that's that process. But there's a second route that's an exception. If it's the history department specifically, then we always route to Myra. So this is just an opportunity to say, you know what, this department is special, or this particular case, if it's over $500, or if it's in a certain department, or whatever, if any of those things happen, you can set up routing based on those fields in the form. And then after that branch, then it always comes back and sends a note to the submitter that says, request to add requested program approved. Then we can do integrations. So there's an interesting capability in Build that's new. It's the ability to create integrations. So now I can create the integrations similar to what you see in our sys connector. You can just configure those yourself. And let me show you the configurations quickly. Oops. These are system API integrations. The way API integrations work, I showed this really briefly in the keynote, but the way API integrations work is that you can go in, oops, sorry. Oh, I'm in the wrong URL. I can't show you that right now. I'll have to show you another time. Okay, let me stop for a second and see if you have any questions.
If you have any questions, you can feel free to type them into the chat, and you can also utilize the Q&A functionality, and we'll go ahead and read it out loud, and then Joel will help respond. And we also have a guest spot with us today as well, which is who is Shannon, and she does a lot of the build implementations as the lead on build implementations. So she's here as well if there are questions as we continue. But for now, there are no questions, Joel.
Okay. This documents list right here is a list of everything that's ever been sent through this workflow process. And you have the ability to select which columns you want to see. So in this particular case, I would want to see the advisor. So I'm going to unclick that. I'd want to see the desired program department. I'd want to see the desired program. And I'd want to see the current program. So you can click all those things. You can also click some information about workflow. These are derived columns so that we create them automatically. So I could say, I could show the workflow total runtime, the workflow status, and maybe the time on the current step. So if there were documents here, you'd see a list of these documents with a list of those columns that I just selected. And that's something that that's a pretty exciting part of the capability, to be able to see where things are in workflow with the lists right here. I'm gonna stop since there are no questions and turn the time back over to y'all.
And I believe there is a question. Danny, did you see that?
Yeah, I received a message outside of Zoom asking about if there were other examples besides the program change request in Joel's demo instance there, if he had other data to show. Joel, I think there was one of the examples you had.
Sure.
Maybe the Star Wars example, I think, was what caught the attention. What does that mean? But I don't know that that's actually a demoable application.
No cost extension is a research application. It's something that allows a student to, or it allows a researcher, once they've gotten a grant from the government and they want to request an extension on the grant, they come in here and use that. Subject codes is the ability to create and change subject codes, create and change subject codes. So if I create here, I can put a new subject code into the system. If I click update, it will pull up the current subject codes. And this is coming live out of our curriculum management instance. And then I can actually change the subject code, and then it will send it through a workflow in order to get approved. And Star Wars is just a demo that I use to show the advanced integrations.
Very good. Joel, on that last subject change subject code for that document list, could you show what the filtering looks like based on or save searches on that example or a different example?
So these are just some of the columns. If you want to change the columns, you go here and you can add different columns. You could add workflow total runtime, workflow status, and things like that. When you go back, now you'll see that those are added right here.
Can you save that filter?
And then you save it, Danny's filter. So now I've got that saved filter. So it's kind of a nice ability to create rich filters and groupings and choose which columns you want to see, and then to save those.
Joel, what about application permissions and settings? How does someone leverage the roles and permissions of a particular application?
So with an application, if I want to, let's say I'm going to go in here. If I want to choose who's going to have access to it, I can select the administrators here. So who do I want to be able to administer it besides myself? I just type in their name. Let's pick Janae. I could also select a group. So if there's a group of administrators, I can select that group. And then I can also choose for all authenticated users. Let's say that for this particular app, I want all authenticated users to be able to submit a document, but that's it. They can't view the document later. I could do that here. I could also allow anonymous users on an application or not right here. And then finally, I can create a new role. Let's call this submitters. And when I go in, I can say, oh, only allow them to create new documents and then add people to that group, or only allow them to update documents, whatever. I've got those capabilities. Thanks for the questions.
Yeah, we actually had another question came in. Do you have an example of Build used for integration with a student information system or other systems? The question is about integrations.
Yes. So I don't have one I can show you, but our customers are doing it all the time. So we have about, so Build probably now has 30 something customers, and they're actively using the product. And when you look at the number of submissions that are happening per month, over the last 6 months, they've gone like exponentially higher because there are more and more submissions going through. And most of those applications that they're creating, I shouldn't say most, half of the applications they're creating are some kind of integration, either with a research administration system, a student information system, or a learning management system. And creating the integrations is actually quite simple. There's no code. So you're just indicating where the JSON, I can show you later if you're interested in a demo of the integration. You're not writing code to create these integrations. You're basically just determining the inputs and outputs.
Another question that came in, can you route to an email that was manually entered in the form?
Yes. So when I go into workflow, when I click here, I can say, who will approve this step? Well, it could be a person in a role or a group hierarchy on the form, or it's a role of any specific group. You can list the group versus, you could actually type in the group right here instead of just pulling it from the form, or a person specified on the form, or a specific person. So this could be an email on the form, or it could be a specific person. And you're pulling the email out of the directory. Shannon, I don't think we can actually just type in an email yet, right?
You can on a notification step. So if
Okay.
you drag in a notification step, there is the option to use an email specified on the form. That's the closest that we can get.
So I just drag the notification down here and then come down here and I select an email specified on the form or a specific, an email specified on the form. And then you can actually grab one of these email fields. Thanks, Shannon.
Another question that came in, is there a way to put a script into an app?
There is no way. We do not support scripting, and honestly, it's not a very safe thing to do. So there are competitors that allow scripting. What we've tried to do is to make it so that you don't have to do scripting. Like you can do JavaScript with our building blocks. You can do transforms. You can do stringify. A lot of the capabilities that you have in a script, you can do with our objects. So you can basically do the same thing as a script without the danger of running code, letting code run in your system.
So far, those are the questions. We've answered all the questions that have come in. Does anyone else have any questions for us about Build?
So while I had a break there, I brought up my my other instance that has the advanced integrations. So this is what I was talking about earlier. Here, I'll show you the Star Wars example for fun. So I can zoom in and out, and these are where I would do my quote unquote scripting. So I create an input, but this just gets a field from the form. And then I construct a URL based on that field. And I send that URL to an API call, and I choose whether I do a get or a post or whatever. Then I get the results, and I'm going to split the object and pull the name. And then that name is going to show up on the form. So that's what this little Star Wars API example is. And so we actually put in the information and pull the name back. So this is the same thing that we use for all of the different integrations. So subject code, for example, this one uses an integration, and what it's doing is pulling data, the subject code out of the form. It lets you change it, and it puts it back into CM. So that we use that little tool that I showed you to do that integration, no scripting at all.
Talk about a way to elevate impact between Build and CM. Are there any other questions?
So there's one question. Does this work on mobile or do I have to download another app?
It works on mobile. So thanks for the question. So it works on mobile. When I go here, when I'm in the form, let's go to a really much more sophisticated form. Let's go to program change. This is a more advanced version of the program change. So we've got a lot of information in here. I'm going to preview the form. So now this is what the user would be seeing. When I drag and drop, notice that the fields are changing automatically. So it will adapt to an iPhone or an iPad or an Android, any kind of mobile device. It's also automatically accessible.
Joel, you might have already covered this, but can I see where a document is at in the workflow process? Meaning who's supposed to be approving it? When can it be approved?
You can. Let me find an example where I actually have fields in there. There you go. So you can see, you can select the workflow status. You can select, let's see, which one am I looking for, Shannon?
So just get out of there. And then just click on one of those lines, like where that one, yep. And then over on the left, click view stat or review to status.
There we go.
And that's where you would see what's already happened in the process, who's up next to approve it. If someone denies a document or sends it back or even approves, they can add comments to a document. Those comments would be listed here as well.
Thank you.
And then Joel, Shelley's asking, can you show what an approver would see? So I don't know if you have an example.
I don't.
Of that. Oh, go to your action list. Oh, nope, you do not. You only have a form fill.
No, I don't. But it's basically, it's something that shows up in the action list. So it's, you know, that they'll get an email that says you've been asked to approve a thing. They can either click on the email or you can go and look at your action list in this app and will pop all the actions for you. And you can click on the ones that you're supposed to approve and then approve them and give a reason.
So Joel, if you click on one of those, just for funsies, and then, okay, so see over on the right-hand side where it says action, submit, save, discard. Over there, it would say approve, deny, or send back. And then once you selected one of those buttons, then there would be a comments field. So it looks just like this. It's just those actions on the right side would change.
Thank you. We're excited about it. People are using it to great effect. We're hearing really, really great feedback. We just got Gartner just this week announced that they did a quadrant, and in the quadrant they listed, you know, we're basically at the top of the quadrant. We're at the top of the vertical axis, which is the value axis. There was just us and one other firm. And if you look at all of the competitors, they're all below 50% of the quadrant, and we're one of the top two. If you look at our reviews on Gartner's Peer Insights, I think there are now 13 or 14 reviews, and they're all 100% 5 out of 5. So people really like the product. There's a lot of excitement about it. So it's something that you can find value in using it yourselves. Many of you are already planning to be both customers or are Build customers now.
Yeah, Joel, we actually had another question about the office use only, the ability to change or make gadgets selective to admin view. Is that something you can show?
I'll just explain it. So you have the ability to have a section in a form. In the form, you can have a section in that's basically office use only, and you can have that disappear or reappear based on something in the field. So that's pretty cool. The other thing that you have the ability to do today in Build is you can have one section that goes through a workflow, and then a different section that's in a different node of the workflow. So you can have the fields show up, section, Shannon, correct me if I'm telling this wrong. You can have the section show up based on where I am in the workflow.
Correct. Yes, you can hide it for certain workflow steps, or you can have it visible, or you can even have it editable. So think of like that office use only section, like you mentioned, of a paper form. Like instead of having the submitter see that like you would on a traditional paper form, that section can be hidden from them and it could show up for an administrator or an approver or something like that. But it may not need to show up at other workflow steps.
Great questions. These are all great. Appreciate it.
We had another question come in, not a question about build, but it looks awesome, by the way, from James, but a suggestion for CM. I would love it if the action interface in CM was as configurable as in build, e.g. custom columns. Also being able to see just the status of the proposal and comments in CM could be useful for admins as well.
Yeah, my response to that would be, over time, you're going to see more and more similarities. Some of the best things in CM will show up in build, and some of the best things in build will show up in CM. So that's a big focus for us over the next couple of years, is to make sure that we take the best of all our applications and use them across all of our applications. So keep letting us know which are your favorites. Danny, I think we're ready to go back to the slides.
All right, sounds great. All right, so just in summary, Kuali Build and curriculum management are very much designed to work together. They also are designed to be standalone solutions for whatever you need. The goal here with Kuali and all of our products is modularity for you to be able to use what makes sense for your institution. And we very much encourage you to explore, build further, especially as CM customers, of how you can elevate impact together between those two tools. I do want to just call out a couple of quick customers of Build. Southern Connecticut University, Amy let us know that she estimates they saved about 2 hours per week over the course of the year. The product saved us nearly 10,000 personnel hours, which we thought was just unbelievably cool. And Lindy Duff, who is actually also University of Utah, is a CM customer and a Build customer. The drag and drop editors just really made it fun to use. And that's something that we find invaluable as feedback. As well, Western University, the ability to use Kuali's approval process without signature was huge. And Colorado State University, Kuali Build is so ridiculously easy. Again, feedback that we just take to heart that absolutely empowers us to keep doing what we're doing because of our partner institutions. We would not be here without y'all, and we cannot do this without the feedback and design elements that you bring to the table. Pro tip, using the data that you already have in curriculum management by leveraging Kuali's open APIs to retrieve data and reduce redundant data entry is the best way to elevate impact between Kuali Build and Kuali CM. What will you build? As a reminder, we are running a contest to win a free Build application and 2 years of service. So please feel free to scan that QR code and tell us what you would automate. What will you build in the future? I am going to turn over the time. I think we have a few minutes. And Joni, ready to wrap up.
Yeah, I was just going to add one other thing is for the next, one of the next tracks is Kuali Build at the conference. So that takes place from Monday, March 8th through Thursday, March 11th. And the Build conference track is free registration. So if you want to register for that event, please feel free. For the people who are currently registered on the student track already, you'll have free access to any of the Build sessions as well. So please let us know if you have any questions. You can reach out to us in the chat, or you can reach out to us at kuali.co. And so the other thing I'd like to mention is that we welcome you to rate the session in Socio. So if you're attending the conference from the student track, if you could just go in and rate the session, you simply click Rate Now at the top of the session screen. And then we just want to thank you again for providing your feedback throughout the conference, and we really appreciate and value that. So we're excited to hear more about what you plan to build or what you might want to build using Kuali Build. One last reminder is that the next session will actually transition to, we'll be transitioning to Joel's closing session for the student track, which starts at the top of the hour. Thank you so much. We appreciate it, and we hope to see you again soon.